Gürbüz. They will talk about GameGenius strategies for creating and launching hit games.
So, good evening to everyone. I'm Ola, and I'm so excited to be here today as your moderator. And I'm so excited to introduce our guys, and they're ready to share their knowledges and insights to you. And I hope our discussion about how to create hit games will be so delightful and useful. So let's start with a small introduction from you guys. Who won't be the first?
Hi, is this on? Hello. I'm Haluk. Have been in gaming industry for last 9 years. Worked for several publishers. Now I own several different companies. I am here for Game Trick Labs. We are mainly developing AR VR games, and so happy to be here.
Greetings, y'all. My name is Baturhan. I've been in the industry around 8-9 years officially. I worked as game designer and game producer. Now at Startgate, I am the lead business coach and trying to help game entrepreneurs.
I have my own mic. So my name is Jani, and I'm one of the founders of Geek Lab and also the COO, so the most boring position in the company. But if you don't know anything else, then just speak and good organization. So you need to be COO. So we are App Store optimization company, helping mobile gaming companies to optimize the storefronts, finding the best solutions for that, and also helping to release the games and doing the concept validation. So those are the things on my end.
Okay, thanks guys. So I propose to make our discussion a little bit more interesting. So let's imagine that you are investors, and our goal is to create a hit game. So we have only 1 year, small team, and 10 million budget, for example. So we want to create a hit game, and we need to increase our chances to create a hit, not only just a basic game. So let's start. And I propose to start with the definition of a hit, because for different guys, that's different. For someone, it's about ROI. For someone, it's about an amount of installs. So how do you define a hit game?
I can start. There's a couple things. Me, as a gamer, what I see, what is the hit game, and also on the business side, what is the hit game. For me, on the business side, what I have seen, the business perspective, the hit game is based on the numbers, like how many installs you're having and how much you're making money. That's truth, honest from myself on the business-wise. But as a player, the hit game is for me the effect on cultural situation. Like, it doesn't matter how many people are playing the game or how much it's making money. If it's Doodle Jump or like the old games, Fruit Ninja, it's probably not the biggest hit on the money-wise or the download-wise, but everybody remembers the game. So for personally, it's definitely the cultural effect to the gaming industry. In the business way, it's installs and then the money.
Definitely. I come from more academical side for that. I think that there are a couple of areas in the checkbox that we need to take look at. Commercial success, one of them, and the critical acclaims from the magazines and websites, also another thing. And the player engagement, as you mentioned, is also quite important. Another thing is that the cultural impact, how the game influenced in the pop culture. It was a trend-setting game or not. And the last thing is the longevity. You know, there will be, you know, the continuation sequential of the game, and there will be DLCs or what sort of things. So to be able to define a game as a hit, I think that we need time to understand and observe how it creates an effect in the period of time.
Well, this based on the definition, a hit game can be, if you take like numbers in account, it depends on what is the game aiming. You can just make a game for revenue, have tons of installs, and still make zero money. So when it comes to numbers, they can be deceiving. But this depends on your definition and your perspective. Your game can have, if you're targeting decent amount of LTV, you can define as $100,000 of revenue per month for a hit game. Or if you are targeting downloads, you can just say more than 1 million downloads. Or if you can just, as he pointed out, you can have no downloads at all, but super effective social media effect and has, super good marketability. That's also a hit game. So this question depends on what perspective that you add. So it's a little bit controversial, but for me, I always been in publishing side, and it was all about the LTV and the profitability of the game. So I would take decent amount of LTV as a hit game, or it was our usually main indicator that we have a hit game here.
Okay, thanks guys. Now we are on the same page, I think. So let's continue and dive deeper and explore one of the most essential point, and it's about market research. So, Jani, what do you think? What is the best way how to start and how to identify the potential?
From my point of view, there's like a couple super important things when you start to do the research for the game. Even coming from the evil data company and founded the evil data company and focusing on the data and the numbers and what is working the best and which is giving you the best scalability or like which is giving you the best marketability. The number one thing on my point of view is to first find what kind of game you want to make. It can be the big picture. What is the thing that you know how to do it? You have a passion to do that kind of game, and that's the starting point. And then after that, you can start to research that if you want to do that kind of game, like we are talking about merge game or match 3 game or whatever, then you can start to do the research like what kind of art style you should use, what kind of team you should use, what kind of game mechanisms you should use, is there going to be social aspect or not. So then diving deeper to the details, what kind of things are happening on that specific genre at that point, and finding the way to make the best merge game or the best match 3 game right now, because it's so much related to also the timing. So you need to find that, yeah, maybe last year this kind of merge game was the biggest hit, but it's not the same thing anymore. So the idea need to come from you because you need to have a passion to do it. But then after that, take the data in and then start to make the decisions what kind of findings you are going to have when you do the research, on my point of view.
I agree and disagree at the same time. Passion, of course, required, but the passion has to be required for the building the game, developing the game. But at first, you need to understand the market. As we tell our entrepreneurs, try to understand the market. So before going into even the ideation stage, go dive into the market. Understand the market, where you want to release the game. Not just play the game, understand the culture. What is the customer behavior there? What sort of topics they are interesting? What sort of topics their culture get impacted? So these sort of things will increase your chance to have a successful game. I don't think there is a method for defining how to make hit game, but there is a method for increasing your chance to have a possibility of having a hit game. So that's why I dive into the market, not just their game, not just the mobile market, but also their culture. You need to understand them so you can establish a game suitable for them, and it can create a cultural impact, and it can go beyond it with the, like a snowball effect.
Yeah, I agree. It's really important to understand your target audience, to be a part of it, and to be so empathizing to them. Yeah, that's Haluk,
Yeah,
have you heard
I think
something?
they have covered everything. So yeah, nothing to add. I agree with you guys.
Okay.
I can add like one more thing because it came in my head because we are always telling that to lots of the developers that when you start to do the research and those kind of things, if you want to do the hit game, as we heard here, that you need to try to do as possible as you can do it. But remember that you are making the game for the players, not for yourself, in many ways.
Absolutely, you are doing for players, so you need to understand them to build that game. So we are checking everything about them. You are analyzing. So please don't miss out to market analysis part because it's going to define everything after you're going to do in the development process. You check the genre, you check the player experience, but also go deeper and understand them. Like in the two previous sessions, they mentioned about the localization and the numbers are getting higher. The people want localized content. So you need to understand your market and how you can get into that part. And not just that, also read the analysis. 80% of everything is the research, right? So check the reports regarding to that. Like currently, metaverse and virtual reality things getting higher. In the mobile part, the subscription monetization method is getting rise. It's getting popular. Also, even the AAA companies trying to integrate the in-advertisement in their products. So there are lots of shifting. You need to understand and grab those features and integrate into your game to make the most possible product, most marketable product for you. And another thing that I really would like to emphasize with the reports, like Google for Games 2022, there is a question like what player expects for the upcoming games. And the first one is gameplay diversity. The second one is character diversity. So if you gather those small nuances and create a canvas for you, it will be the most valuable shot that you're gonna have. So it's basically the most important, most crucial part, I can say, that the market analysis. Then you, with your passion, you're gonna ignite everything. You're gonna achieve the best game that you wanna establish, but with the right aimed shot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, guys, you are so passionate about this topic. Okay, thank you, guys. And let's move on to the product strategy. And I have some interesting questions, some provoking questions to discuss. And the first one is about the innovation. So what do you think? Is it important to have an innovation in your core game loop? Or is it better to use the familiar one, but add something interesting to your game?
Yeah, so again, this depends on the studio. First, let's say if you are new to the market or if you're new to the genre, I would always pick the safest option because you don't have too many chances to make mistakes. So if you would love to go for the safer route, I would usually don't try to discover, don't try to make an innovation and just go for the safer part. After you get into safer position financially, technically, and as your team, that your team is sure about their capabilities, all of the quality of your products, and then it's time to make some innovations. So I divide these into two. In early stages, I usually choose to be safe and try to get experience, try to stabilize financially, or try to stabilize the team, the talent that you have, and then go for risky, funny, and innovative stuff.
Yeah, I'm fully on the same page. when you are having like a fully new idea, the risk is always much, much higher. And nowadays, when we have 1 million games already out there and new games coming in every single day, it's hard to even make something fully different. And also, because we have been talking about the audience, it's even harder to find the audience for the new game because there is so much great games that people already know how they work. So there is always risk to go something new, but obviously the big ballers are doing that here and there, and they are finding new genres and they are making a new hits with the genre that didn't exist earlier. But good to remember, when you want to go that direction and you have the unique idea and you are like, okay, this is going to be something new, you need a lots of resources. You need to have a lots of money because it takes some time to test, find the audience, and then test it again, and test it again, and test it again. So yeah, safest option is always the best one in my point of view. But when you have made enough money and the safe options, then you can try something crazy.
Okay, now I come up with another approach. There are lots of indies, and being indie is not being dependent on something. If you perform your market analysis really well, it creates an opportunity for you to, go crazy. I don't say take risk, blind risk. I say that take a calculated risk. Because, as you mentioned, there are lots of different player experiences. But it doesn't mean that you cannot create one, you cannot merge a new genre together. If you do the right calculations and if you have the right resources to perform that thing, you can take this calculated risk. But as most of the game developers are indie, and we are not depending on something, and it will be our first job. So we mentioned about passion, right? It's all about passion. Put your passion and do your craziness in that. And also, by the way, try to also establish a community. I know that this part may be more suitable for mid-core games or more PC or console games kind of thing, but without community, the game studio is basically nothing. Because we are producing that game for the players, and players are supporting us in that way. And they also tell us how to go crazy. So if you are producing a game in the mid-core area, not hyper-casual or hybrid casual, maybe also possible for the casual games, also try to, engage with your community and listen them. Because another trend is getting rise. Actually, it's not rise. It was obvious, and it's getting obvious. Now, the community-driven game design. You need to understand player, understand what they want, and if you understand their demands, you can do your craziness with their direction. And now most of the entrepreneurs that I indulge with, they are trying to establish that approach with going with the community.
Okay, thank guys for your opinions, for different viewpoints. And I have one more question to debate. It's about the balance between time and quality. What do you think? If we have only 1 year, how many games should we launch, should we test? Is it about 10 games or maybe only 2?
You said 1 year, right?
Yeah, 1 year.
Well, yeah, budget. Budget is also important. That's another question. But another question that should be asked here was what type of game that we are doing. So you can make 10 games, you can test 10 games in a year, you can make only 1 game in a year, you can make half of a game in a year. So let's say this really depends on the genre, but I would love to just answer the first one. When do you think, like how long that you should be testing, and that's something that I can answer without having a genre-specific answer. So as long as you feel like your game has got into 90% of their capability in terms of data, in this stage, the data is the only thing that can speak. So when you feel like you are almost there, then you should be releasing it, because there's always a competition, there's always a risk of having a similar thing to be published and just devastate your marketing. So I usually try to launch my games at like 90% what I'm at, if it's at 90% of what I'm aiming, because there will be live ops as well. So to reduce the risk, after doing soft launches and a few tests, when I get into my 90% of my aiming LTV or the total revenue in other cases, I usually launch the game and try to do the rest, or the more than the rest, on the live ops. So yeah.
It's quite a hard question.
I agree.
We don't know the experience. Assume that we have a very expert team and we are developing a game in the console market, console sector. It might differ what sort of, the markets also have, actually the platforms also have their constrictions. Like in PlayStation, it requires a little bit of time to, get responses for the release, because they are checking, and if you receive a revision, then it creates another time for waiting. So I can say that for the console market, maybe 4 projects you can go with, 4 small projects, but it depends on, the expertise of the game and what sort of quality of game you are aiming. Of course, in a short amount of time, it's impossible to build a good quality game, because to be able to create a hit game or the ultimate game experience, actually, you need to follow the 4 immersion types: system immersion, spatial immersion, narrative immersion, sequential immersion, and also the emphatic immersion. These all requires separate teams, so it's impossible to create a fully polished game. But at the end, you can create an experience. So it's quite hard question to explain. But for hyper-casual studios, we know that from Turkey, they are producing over 30 games with an amount, so with lots of teams, and so it's really differs from the market to market.
Yeah, super tough question, but I'm going to have a fully different angle now, because I haven't made any single hit game. I have never ever been working in a mobile gaming company. I've been only the bad vendor side, so seeing a lots of launches. So if I would have 1 year, 10 million budget, so my salary would be like 9 million, and then I have 1 million. No. So in these kind of cases, there was like exactly the right things. There is probably not the right amount how many projects you can do. Obviously, earlier you fail, more cheaper, and you have more opportunities to find the best solution. But now, super big apologies for the commercial break in this case. If I would have 1 year time, I would like to go the idea that, okay, I want to do this kind of game. That's my starting point. And then started to test with the real audience, so driving traffic to lookalike pages, so lookalike storefronts, so we can see how people are really acting on a page, how many people are really willing to download the game. When they're clicking the download, you can redirect them to the survey and collect even more data. And with couple of good tests, you can find out which category you want to work on right now on that specific moment. So what is having the best marketability, then do the art style, then do the theme, then those kind of things. And after you have those numbers and KPIs in, I start to develop the game and making only one project based on the early testing phase. But this was obviously commercial break for the Geek Lab, but still if I would do it, I would do it like that. So testing early, as many things, getting as many KPIs, and then do it once and hope for the best.
Yeah, also the expertise, like in previous session, Abdurrahman said that a company requires to be specialized on one particular genre. It's so important. Nowadays, even in the entrepreneurship area and game entrepreneurship area, we are seeing that lots of entrepreneurs trying to, build different games in different genres. But it's actually wrong, because the game designer can have a strong skill set in particular area. A company can have a strong skill set in particular area. So if you are doing a racing game, do the racing game. Try to find the best racing experience in that particular area. And for the development part, while you are developing in the same genre, you are creating modules for the next project of yourself, and you are using that modules to shorten the time for the next project. So it's so quite important that establish a company, in a game company, specialized in a particular field that you want to aim.
Thank you, guys. In Ukraine we have a phrase like to beat a dead horse, which means that it's really important to understand the point when you should stop and close your project if it had a bad results, and start the new one and switch your focus to another one. So yeah, thank you. So now we are living in the era when have only a good project is not enough. So I propose to discuss the marketing, and what do you think? Is it possible to create a hit game with a small budget? And how much money is needed to create a hit?
Right. So, yeah, the marketing is super important, and as I answering all of these questions in the same way, it's also again depending on the genre. Like in mobile games, it's impossible to do marketing without any money, of course, because you need to acquire users, right? So there is featuring in certain app stores. Back then it was the only way to organically retrieve users, but using the social media is right now without paid acquisition is the only way that you can do your own marketing, and it's possible. What is super when you compare to them, there is you can't really estimate the revenue, you can't really estimate, you can really plan your downloads, you can't really get any kind of data in before you start your project. It's just assumptions. You can't really do many tests in these aspects. But if you have a marketing budget, or when you are acquiring users, it's much more precise. You can target users. You can target, geographical locations with your campaigns, any other profiles. It's possible, yes, but the potential with the budget is, of course, uncomparable. With an expert team, with a certain level of expertise in your team, and it's possible, but much harder without any kind of marketing budget. So, yeah.
Yeah, on the same page again. Yeah, obviously it's possible. Everything is possible, but how likely it is to do without the money is, the chances are pretty low. But I'm also same page with the social media. That gives a small opportunity to get having a viral hit without doing anything by yourself, and that gives you enough users to start to make some kind of money, and then that gives you the boost. But how common that is to be a viral thing randomly in a TikTok, I don't think so. And usually even doing that with the good way, even harder. Being bad, viral thing, it's much easier to do. So yeah, it's possible, but as mentioned here, it's super hard to do. You need to be prepared to acquire the users to get to play the game, and then getting to the next level. How much you need money, no fucking idea. Depends on many things, genres and everything. Like, things can happen, but more you have money, probably makes things a little bit easier. But as we have spoke here already about the research and taking care, so more you know who are the players that you are doing the game, what kind of game you are doing, how much people are into it, you know the basic KPIs and those kind of things, that helps you a lot to make successful game with the smaller budget, because you don't have a surprises that much, but still it's super, super hard. So you need to do something viral on the TikTok, maybe, to get like users.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, both of you. We have zero budget. We are an indie company, but we know that there are a couple of sites many game developers are very engaged with, like Reddit and the Steam community, that sort of thing. I'm not talking about the mobile games because it's a completely different area, but for the PC and console games, let's ask. How would you start creating a marketing campaign by using your free resources?
Yeah, no idea. Without the budget, doing those kind of things, absolutely no idea. But the things that I would probably do and focus, if I understood that question correctly, is to that kind of social media things and trying to create the community around the game, because that's not expensive, kind of finding the hardcore players in the social media or Discord and Reddit and those kind of places, and promote your thing there and start to build the community and use those people to advertise your game to the bigger group. So maybe like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've witnessed people doing the guerrilla marketing, reaching out to streamers to play their games, and posting on forums, Reddit, commenting on similar genre videos, sending mails to streamers, again, sending them keys to play in the stream. So just do videos in TikTok, do videos on YouTube, play the game nonstop. Just, you know, like joining one of these events as well. We have seen many indie games out there. Just to build a network, build a community, make a Discord group, many ways. But my point here is, it's all comes to if you are lucky, right? So a streamer, a very famous streamer playing your game for 3 hours might be just enough. But it's, again, if he feels like it, if you are like, you know, if you will be noticed, it's all down to your effort or knowing these people or having connections. It can be done, but again, you need to be pushy, you need to be lucky, you need to be, you need to know what you are targeting and what you are looking for. I think that's my, you know, my perspective.
Thank you for answers, guys. I also would like to add something here. If you don't have budgets, from the investment part, we are expecting at least some user base from you. Like, maybe you don't have the required marketing budget to, you know, the advertise your game, but at least you can start establishing your community. And community building is not an easy thing at all. You need to start early, you need to go slowly, and you need to be transparent. That's the thing. Like, I believe this is my actually point of view. Share everything, like every development stage with the community. Even if you don't have 0 followers in your Instagram or anything, just share it, show your passion. And because I saw companies who do it with passion, and the user base come for that passion to, to promote that game. And maybe they can find publishers in that, like this way. Maybe they can find angel investors, or like Kickstarter, they can, put a little bit of money to, to support you. User base is the most important thing, especially for PC game and the console game producers, I think. And you start earlier as much as you can.
Yeah, maybe players can feel this passion, and that's really important. Thank you, guys. That's a really tough question. Yeah, that's true. So I propose to continue with one more question. It's about the importance of a team. So what would you choose? Small but top-notch team, or maybe bigger team, but only a few of the specialists will be a top-notch? What do you think?
I rather, personally would have a smaller, top-notch team, but obviously building that is, again, super hard. But when you have a smaller team, the communication is much easier, and it's much easier to be transparent and sharing the knowledge and having people doing specifically something that they really know how to do it, and they are super good at it, and connecting all those dots. So I would like to go with a top-notch team with a little bit smaller, because then bigger the company is, the communication, you need to start to focus on funnels and everything, which is on the starting point. They are taking so much time from the development and finding the real game and those kind of things. And the most important for me as a company founder is having a good variety of the people. So people from the different fields having fully different skill set and fully different domain knowledge, so they can argue about things as much as possible and getting the best answer. So yeah, get the top-notch team, because like in my case, when you are the stupid guy with the pretty face, you probably need to have lots of good people around you if you want to make a great company. So small team, top-notch people would be my choice. How to do it? You need to be super good
What about the ego fights?
Yeah.
Sorry?
What about the ego fights? You know that especially for the, as we called alpha teams.
Yes.
And there are lots of fights, especially in terms of ego. How would you like to manage it?
How I being managing that? That's a good question. And when in top-notch teams, you are going to face egos there, and specifically probably when you go to the gaming field, where you can have an artist who is superstar and having their own opinions. So that's going to be tough. And when you want to hire a top-notch team and smaller one, I think you need to be also ready pretty good leader, because that's a tough point. If you feel like that you are not on that level yet, or you don't have experience, then I would go little bit not that top-notch and avoid the ego crashes, because they can take a lot of your energy and time super easily. But yeah, good point, good point.
Thanks. I completely agree with him. I am usually super afraid of management costs, and time-wise, money-wise as well. I'd rather have bunch of people that I know what they're doing in their best skill set. And because when you get bigger, it's not effective as you always plan. So it usually, there's a economic theory that also involves this. Like, if you have two guys with two fryer machines, you make like 2 fries in a minute, but once you hire 4 guys, they won't be able to effectively just do 4. You know, it will be just less. So there is like as well as synergy and communication. These are always problematic as well when you're like trying to concentrate and focus on a project. So I rather have a few people with very high skill to avoid all of these risks and go with that.
Also, like one thing that comes in my mind, this is maybe a little bit controversial, but for me, hiring the team and building the team, attitude beats the skills every single time on my point of view. Like if the person is having a great attitude, personality, and you can see how greatly he or she is going to fit to the team and how much she or he will do for your company or the team, that's more important to me than how much you can do, because you can learn most of the stuff. And that's also maybe the way that we have been yet able to avoid the ego thing. So need to be the match. But also if they don't know anything, they don't know how to do stuff, that also sucks. Not to having only having a good person in the office is not paying the bills, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really don't think I go with all seniors all-star team, because I believe that the team should improve each other. So there should be a area for teaching and improvement. So I would like to keep, hire a couple of key point senior guy person, and then the mid-level and juniors. Because the improvements and the new aspect and the age difference will bring to the newness, the innovation that we are seeking, and they improve each other. And of course, the seniors will improve each other too. They're gonna learn something, but it also kind of creates lots of strong, opinionated people. So rather than managing with those fights, I would like to go with ease and select a couple of senior people that I can trust them to, adjust the strategy that we're going to develop, and I can trust them. And the rest is a teamwork. It's all about learning and improvement.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I think that top-notch team is really important for the future of your project. So, okay. Thank you for your opinions, and thanks. Maybe we can have some time for the questions from audience. So feel free to ask something or share your thoughts. Have you got something to add? Yeah, thank you.
Folks, thanks a lot for the session. Roman, my name. I have a question with regards to the testing and launching new products. So you discussed a lot that basically it's a good way to kill the product if it doesn't work. It's fine. It's fine to fail and release the new things. But talking about the data to make this decision, how much of the data is enough to say if the product is working well or not working well? So I mean, it could be amount of installs, it could be amount of daily active users, monthly active users, whatever the data is enough to make that decision if, yeah, we stay with that product or we kill it. Thank you.
Yeah, I can start because super good question, super good question. And from my point of view, it's about what kind of goals you are having as a studio, like what kind of things you are looking for. Like, okay, if it's your first game and your goal is to make successful game, it doesn't need to be the hit top-notch $1 billion game, but you want to do the first game and show to the people that what you can really do. So you don't need to that many KPIs. The basic KPIs need to be on point, like the CPI, on my point of view, like the CPI conversion level. Obviously, before development, you don't know about the retention and those kind of things, which is super important. But in a soft launch, you can start to see those numbers. So from my point of view, super bad answer, but enough data that you have the confidence to take the risk. Obviously, when we are working with the Supercell, they are killing the games that the numbers are so crazy that everybody in this room would take the game like immediately. But if it's not hitting billion downloads or $1 billion, they are not going to launch it. So it's based on your goal, on my point of view, and having enough confidence to jump in. CPI in normal level, good conversion level, and good attraction, so people are interested in.
So can we summarize your sharings like enough to have data to interpret the right projection?
Yeah, that's really good summary. Thank you.
Yeah. Additionally, depending on the genre, let's say like you can target of a lifetime of a year as a campaign or a week, depending on the genre on your game. You can target like to recover your marketing value in like 15 days, 14 days, a month, a year. So as he pointed out, if you are new to this genre, you should just target downloads because scaling is another aspect, right? Just you need to, if you need to get experience, hands-on experience, see some data, get experience from there, and make much more, a better product as a second step. So once you are trying to get some targeting to get some data, aka the download numbers only, you will see that these are only indicators that, trying to calculate how much LTV is your game is going to generate. They just tend to the KPIs only there to estimate this LTV until you don't have the full test. So they are early indicators, but not everything. So once you reach your target data, as in terms of tests, in mobile it's usually the LTV versus the cost. So your test should be done. But in other genres, as I mentioned, let's say if you are targeting like a lifetime value of a year or couple of years, even in a bigger projects, then you should be targeting and testing bigger stuff, and it takes usually much more time than that.
Anything to add? No? So maybe we have enough time for one more question before we wrap up. So maybe no? Okay. So maybe I'd like
Perfect.
to...
It's splendid then.
Yeah. So maybe I'd like to thank our speakers and our audience for participation, and maybe see you soon and the party and after this panel. So thank you very much.
If you have any questions, guys, you can reach out to us and anyone you want. So thank you for joining this session.
Yeah,
it was lovely.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.